Let's talk about how you live better than a narco trafficker. Hey guys, Randy Gage here, dropping my phone, but I need to pick it up and turn it off. Welcome to another Prosperity live stream. We do this every Saturday, 10 a.m. Margaritaville time. So today title, Live Better Than a Narco Trafficker. Obviously, I'm having a little fun with the title, and I'll tell you why in just a sec. But in the meantime, do me a favor, please check in and just say who you are and where you're watching from. I see Jorge Melendez has jumped in. Let me make him a co-host along with the lovely and talented Paula and Jose, who hook us up every week. I see Chris in Sydney and Peter in Canada, Rena and Romano here in Florida. Good to see everybody in the house. Got lots of, all right, good crowd. And by the way, I'm streaming live on Facebook, so just know you can comment there and I will see those comments after. Is that Bob Nagan I see in the house? So anyway, thanks for joining me. Do me a favor, tell a friend, send a link out. Paula, can you put up the URL that they could share if they would? So somebody you know who needs to and would appreciate some lessons about prosperity. What we talk about every week is we look at the principles of prosperity, free enterprise, and generosity. And by the way, for you cool kids, there's the link if you want to share with your friends. Thank you, Paula. If you're on Clubhouse, by the way, follow me there. I'm just Randy Gage, my name there. And I want to shout out to the people who are listening on the podcast. We repost this every Monday morning on the Power of Prosperity podcast. And then the YouTube channel, we usually have it up by Monday night on the Prosperity TV YouTube channel. So why am I having fun with this title, Living Like a Narco Trafficker? Because it's really, I think, manifesting a prosperous life is really about the ability for living a loud, outrageous life without worrying about money and limitations. And I've just reminded back in the day, the Amorcita de mi vida was a beautiful woman from Colombia named Aura Alicia. And so it got to that point in the relationship where it was time to meet the parents. So I flew down to Bogota to meet her parents. And that was my first time in Colombia. And that was the heyday of Pablo Escobar. And I remember us being stuck in traffic and I'm joking with Balvi, her mother, hey, call Pablo and have him send us a helicopter. And he had his private zoo with his hippopotamus. Is it hippopotami? I guess would be the plural. So much money, he had to put it in semi-trucks. He had to bury it in the ground. And obviously, I'm not advocating a drug king lifestyle by any means. The bane of addictions and drugs and the criminal enterprise. I'm not advocating any of that, but I do feel like there are some parallels between there's some honest equivalent would be like, even if you're just a law-abiding citizen, once you become wealthy, you do have a problem. Where do I keep my money? Do I bury some in the backyard? Man, I'm only insured for, I can't remember if it's 100,000 now in an account. If you have a few $1 million, you got to really think, where do I put this? Where can I safely invest this in ways that that's protected? And even honest people have to worry about government, right? If you live in Venezuela, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you live in Cuba or you live in Russia, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we do have to kind of do some things to, we have to be concerned about protecting our financial resources. And I think the other thing is, we have an expression in English, we say guilty pleasures. And I don't know that I like the term because I don't think we should feel guilty, right? But we all have things that are special to us, the areas that we may really splurge ourselves living in prosperity that maybe you can't quantify a return on investment. And other people who don't have the same passion you do would say, that's wasteful, that's immoral, how could you spend money on that? How can you fly first class when all the children are starving in Africa? How could you buy yourself those new shoes when the kids are starving? And you realize, wow, at some point you can never, it just keeps going and going and going. You can, okay, so you stop flying first class, you stop buying luxury, you stop getting a massage, you stop getting your spa day, you stop buying organic produce, and you just keep chiseling away. You realize, well, unless I'm willing to just starve myself in the jungle with no shoes and electricity or clothes, and, wouldn't a different approach maybe work better? Would I be able to help save the children and save the rainforest and save the planet better if I become wealthy? Would I be able to actually do more good for the world? And so that's kind of the idea came, I was listening to Tim Ferriss, and he was talking about his 4-Hour Work Week book. And he said one of the titles he almost chose for that book was How to Live Like a Drug Lord. And when I heard that, I thought, it doesn't matter how many millions of copies that book sold. He would have sold 1 million or 2 more if he would have, gone with that title. And I like it because I want to blow up your timidity about prosperity. I want to blow up the programming you have that money is evil, rich people are bad, or somehow, and this is really a big issue, that there's so many millions of people who think it's wrong to aspire to become wealthy and or prosperous. And we got to blow up those beliefs because those beliefs don't serve you. And just so you know, for you rational, logical, OCD people like me, this is actually going to be part 1 of 2. I'm going to suggest that this lesson today is going to be partnered with the lesson that we're going to talk about next week, where we're going to talk about how we envision prosperity, how we program it into our subconscious mind, and then how our subconscious mind works to change our behaviors and our actions we take, which then creates a better, more prosperous reality. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. But this week, I want to set the stage for that with part 1 of this, which is where we really look at what the ideal life of prosperity looks like. So I got a lot of people I see on the screen. So I'll tell you what, for Lisa Ryan, the difference is going to be different than Saul. For Julio, it's going to be different than Debbie, right? We will have certain joys and passions and hobbies and avocations that will be different, but I do think there's some commonalities. And I felt this is, I think, our 9th week doing these prosperity live streams. So I thought it'd be a good time to kind of go and really define what a prosperous life looks like. So let's break it down into 5 big areas. And I'm going to start with money and material things. And I'm going to start with that because, of course, that's usually the trope. That's usually the cliche. People say, well, money can't buy happiness. Yes, we're going to accept the premise that money and material things can't buy happiness. But here's what I will also say. We have to also accept the premise that poverty and the absence of material things are not a slam dunk to make you happy either. And if we're going to be unhappy, you might want to choose being unhappy with more money and material things as opposed to being unhappy without money and material things. I think the degree of your unhappiness will be lessened. And then, of course, as we look at some of the other categories here, I want to look at 5 different areas of your life. I think we'll find, hey, there are other things that we can work on that will help make you happy. But here's where I think we want to begin with. We want to get the money thing out of the way. If I could give you a fervent desire that I have for you, it would be that you never, ever have to make any decision solely based on finances. And by this, I mean when you go to Red Lobster and you're deciding what to order for lunch, if you're evaluating a private school or a university for your child, if you're thinking about the home you want to buy or the city in which you want to live, if you've got a hobby or things you collect, or you're thinking about where you want to go on vacation and how you want to redecorate your house, or the new sofa, the love seat combination you want to buy, there will be times when it's prudent to take finances into the equation. I get that. I'm not living in a delusional world. We all, and even Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest people on the planet, there are certain decisions, many of them, in fact, where they will take money into account, into the equation. But I'm saying, I want you to get to the point where you never have to make a decision solely on the basis of money. If you make, the cliche, the Bible verse that kind of gets bandied about is the meek will inherit the earth. And that may or may not be the case, but I promise you, you won't inherit the earth if you're paying the minimum balance on your credit card bills each month. You won't be living a prosperous life if you're paying the minimum balance on your credit card bills. If you pay that minimum balance, you're basically set yourself up to more than 40 years of indentured servitude to that credit card company. That's why they're so nice and say, oh, you owe $30,000, but you only need to pay $714. They're not being nice to you. They're enslaving you for the next 40 years at a interest rate that would make the mafia blush. So let's work on get the money thing out of the way. And then understand this, money and material things won't buy happiness. But money and material things will allow you self-expression, which can make you happier. Are you with me? Give me a thumbs up on the screen if you're buying in on this. All right, good crowd here today. All right, number 2, and you guys on Facebook and you guys on the replay, same thing on the replay, just hit yo in the comments or something. Check in there if you're watching the replay and let me know where you're watching from. Second area, health and wellness. I don't know if it's possible to overemphasize how important the role of energy and health is to live in a prosperous life. It might be impossible to overemphasize that. For you guys who've read the Radical Rebirth book, my latest book, you know, I broke down our philosophies about life into 6 major categories. And one of those 6 categories is health and wellness. And one of the things I felt as I wrote the book was this might be the most important category. And I'm talking in there about how we create energy, because you don't find energy, right? People say, I just don't have any energy. You don't pick up energy out of the cupboard. You manufacture energy by the food and drink that you fuel the engine, which is your body and your mind. And you know, one of the early editors at the publisher was saying like, well, you know, this book is about rediscover and recreating yourself and personal growth. And do you really want to devote a whole chapter to how people eat and how they sleep and the amount of exercise they get and those things? And that was a hill to die on for me. That absolutely, not only does this chapter have to be in the book, but it might be the single most important chapter in the book. Because I think when I was so chronic fatigue, I had systemic candidiasis. I didn't even know what that was. I just knew, because for you guys who don't know my story, I moved out of the house when I was 15 years old, right? I had been a teenage drug addict, teenage alcoholic. I was in jail for armed robbery. My mother, poor mother, there was nothing she could do with me. And I was like, you know, she had her rules of the house and I didn't want to, abide by those rules. And so she said, well, if you don't want to abide by them, you have to live, go live by yourself. And I said, well, that sounds good. Let me do that. And she probably thought, well, he'll be gone 2 days and he'll be back. But I never came back. So I made my way out on the street from 15 years old on. And when you make your way out on the street, let me tell you what your diet is. 12 sodas a day, 2 to 3 packs of cigarettes a day, pizza, cake, cookie, Snickers bars, gumdrops, payday bars, Butterfinger bars, nothing but sugary, starchy junk. And so by the time I was 30, my body was so broken down. I had such autotoxicity in my digestive tract. The headaches and the spaciness and the confusion and the lack of energy, it was all I could do to get out of bed. And I believe that was really the catalyst why I lost my business. I had my business seized by the IRS and auctioned off for taxes, unpaid taxes. And, I could give lots of other contributing factors, but I still believe to this day that only happened because I was so sick, so weak. My energy was just so exhausted. I couldn't deal with life. And I remember thinking, if I could just get my body to be able to keep up with my brain, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be happy. And so it took me 30 years to really recognize the value of health and wellness. And I have to tell you a story that just magnifies my whole philosophy on this. It happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm in a softball league, play on Sundays. I've got 2 games tomorrow. It's opening day. I'm so excited. New team, same dream, want to get back to the World Series and win another one. So we were having tryout day for the league for new people who were joining teams where they come out and get rated. So I was coaching the upper division. My team has 3 divisions and I was coaching the upper division one. And so there's going to be a draft. These people would try out. You got to be there to rate them. So I had my clipboard and all my stuff to view the people trying out and rate them and see if I want to draft any of them to join our team. And it was starting at 11 a.m. And so I leave early enough. I live on a little island between Miami Beach. So the drawbridge could be up. That could cost me 10 minutes. There's a railroad track. And if I get a Florida East Coast Railway train, it might be 5 minutes. And so I leave myself extra time. And I needed it because the drawbridge was up. I caught a train. I got a lot of red lights. So I get to the field and it's like 10 minutes to 11. And the tryouts are going to be starting at 11. And all the parking spaces by the front gate are filled, of course, because lots of people are there. So I drive around to the end of the first softball field because there's another gate there. So I drive all the way there and I park my car there. I grab my bat bag and I'm schlepping it with me to go enter on the other side of the park. Well, I start to approach the gate and I realize the gate is padlocked. They have opened the main gate, but they haven't opened the other ones around. And it's like 2 blocks to, softball field's pretty wide thing. So I'll have to go back 2 blocks and I'm schlepping this bat bag. And I got 3 bats and my cleats and 3 different fielding gloves. And it's probably 25, 30 pounds. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to schlep that back and I'm running out of time. So the gate and the fence is about 10 feet tall. So I say, hey, if I jump the fence, I'm gonna get there, with time to spare. So I pick up my bat bag, I throw it over the thing, I take my little shaker bottle of my energy drink and I slide it through the thing in the fence. And then I climb up and I jump over the fence. And I pick up my bag and I start walking in. And a buddy of mine comes running up to me. He's like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I'm like, what? What are you jumped the fence? And I'm like, yeah, so what? He's like, and he knows me, he knows my age, he knows my birthday is April 6th. So he's like, you're gonna be 62 years old in a month. 62-year-old men do not jump over fences. And I was just perplexed because I just don't think of myself as a 62-year-old person. And I get that I'm not one of these people living in delusion, right? I've got, 4 spinal surgeries, so I have issues with my back. I have reminders that will let me know I'm getting older. I have reminders who make me aware I'm not 20 years old anymore. But I just don't see myself as a 61 or 62-year-old man. I see myself as like a 35-year-old man. And because I do, that's the kind of health and wellness that I maintain. Do you really get that? Do you understand how we perceive ourselves and how we choose to take care of our health really does make a difference. All right, third area is spiritual harmony. And I want to make sure to mention, this is not necessarily religion that I'm talking about. It may, for many of you, it may be religion. For me, it's not religious. For a lot of people who are watching this, it won't be religious. It just means you have harmony in your life. You have harmony in your mind. You're at peace with yourself. You're comfortable in your own skin. There are some people, they wake up in the morning, they check the phone right away, they're getting alerts every 2 minutes, and they have the radio on, or they have music playing, or God forbid, they have the television on. They put on a cable news channel, and that's like on the background, in the background noise, their whole day. They simply cannot be alone without distraction. And the reason why so many people can't meditate is because they cannot be alone with their thoughts. They just can't. And I understand that because that was me when I first, years ago, I thought, okay, I need to meditate. I'm such a frantic, busy, anxious person. I need to meditate. And I had the hardest time on earth meditating because it took me a year or two to really understand. The problem was not that I didn't understand meditation techniques. The problem was I couldn't be alone with my thoughts. I couldn't be alone with my thoughts. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And when that happens, you need these distractions all the time. That's why you need all those alerts. That's why you have to check your Facebook every 2 minutes and your Instagram every 30 seconds and see who liked and who followed and who shared a post and what's the breaking news and what, it's just, there's no harmony there. Yeah, harmony means you should be able to shut off all your devices and be alone in your thoughts and enjoy that. Harmony means you should be able to go to a movie by yourself. Not that you have to, great, it's wonderful to go with friends and have a night out and whatever, I'm thinking more pre-COVID, obviously, but it's also okay that okay, it's Thursday and this new movie is opening and, I'm kind of caught up with my work and there's a 1 p.m. show and I can get away from the job for a while and I want to just go check out this movie by myself. Or that you can go out to dinner by yourself and be comfortable with that. That's the kind of spiritual harmony I'm talking about. And I think it's really important that you have a mental calmness that only comes from practice, mindfulness practice. Area number 4 I want to discuss is really an important one: nurturing relationships. The number of people who don't have abusive or codependent relationships in their life is shockingly small. It's really, that's really an issue for a lot of people. And I think it starts with yourself, right? We attract dysfunctional relationships when we don't have our own mental harmony, when we don't have our own mental health. And this is another example, I think, of why I say money and material things are important. I can tell you, I went through 4 years of therapy. Not only did that 4 years of therapy save my life, literally, not only did that 4 years of therapy prevent me from committing suicide, but that 4 years of therapy transformed my whole life, and it transformed my prosperity, my happiness, my health, because it helped me recognize all of the crazy, dysfunctional, negative, and codependent relationships I was a part of. At the time I went into therapy, I was living with a guy. We had the beautiful house with a picket fence on the golf course. I don't even like to golf, right? It's like we had all the perfect things. Everybody thought we were a perfect couple. And it took us going to the group, couples therapy to first come to recognize we're not in love. We're in love with the idea of being in love. And so that was the first big step for me to be able to say, okay, I've got to end this, both of us, we've got to end this dysfunctional relationship because it's not a healthy relationship. But then I had to not immediately replace it with another dysfunctional relationship, because I did that time after time after time. The name would change, the face would change, but it was the same person. It was like they were getting plastic surgery and coming back. And then I realized, okay, the problem isn't with all of the exes. The problem, the one constant in this is me. I've got to look at what is the emotional payoff that I'm getting from these dysfunctional relationships, and why do I keep attracting these kind of people, and why do I keep recreating these kind of relationships? It took me therapy to break that cycle. And you know what? Therapy is really expensive. So again, just kind of a little reinforcement again about the importance of money and material things. You know, I have a friend right now who, you know, we're running a GoFundMe campaign because the family is facing a critical disease and mountain of debt and tens of thousands of dollars of medical expenses that aren't covered by insurance, right? This is the reality of life in the United States, which is supposed to be the shining example on earth of how free enterprise is the best model and how it takes care of everybody, and we're better than socialism and we're better than communism. Democracy is the best form, but you know what? There's a lot of cracks that people are falling through. There's a lot of mentally ill people not getting treatment. There's a lot of people in transition with no homes who are not getting human rights, human dignity, survival needs met, right? So money and material things are really a factor. And the best way to help the poor and the exploited and the impoverished is not to be one of them. So thus this lesson together with you every week. But a big part of your life is going to be finding healthy relationships, nurturing those relationships, finding people. Like I have people in my life who will call me on my stuff, right? I talk in the Radical Rebirth book about how many times I've reinvented myself, recreated myself, the voracious appetite I have for self-development and personal growth. But still, I need people around me who can say, hey, Randy, I love you and I want the best for you, but I think you're repeating a negative pattern here. We all need that. So we need people who love us enough and want the best for us and will tell us the truth. And then the fifth area that I broke this down to, I'm going to label it significance over success. Meaning at some point in your life, most of us begin by chasing success. I want more money. I want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a multimillionaire. I want to be a billionaire, right? I want to be a New York Times best-selling author. I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to sell 1 million copies of my song. I want to write the #1 opera in the 20th century. I want to achieve this. I want that accolade. I want this degree, this college degree. I want this diploma, this award. I want the Pulitzer Prize. I want the Nobel Prize. So we chase after status. We chase after success. But I think as we mature and grow, and as we work on this path toward becoming the highest possible version of ourselves, you switch and you evolve really from success to significance. And then you realize the stuff that really matters. I wrote a blog about this last week on my site. For you guys who don't know, I was shot in a robbery attempt back in the cocaine cowboy days of Miami. And you know, when you take a bullet to the gut and you get left for dead in a pool of blood in the street, it's a wonderful philosophy adjustment. on how you live life. So it's like, I'll be in a softball game and it'll be the final inning and there's 2 outs and the bases are loaded and I come up to bat and I'm cracking a joke with the umpire or chewing my gum, talking smack with the catcher. And somebody on my team will be like, how could you be so relaxed? The whole game was on the line. There were 2 outs, the bases. And I'm like, I've been shot and left for dead. Do you really think I could care less about the 3-2 count in my softball game? Do you think, you understand proportion, you understand priorities. So now here's the thing. Not everybody, like I'm really blessed. I was able to find my assignment, or maybe it's better if I say my assignment found me. So I'm a modern day philosopher, right? I philosophize and I do it with a blog. I do it with my podcast. I do it with these live streams, and most viscerally, I do it with the 14 books that I've written and the 14 more I'm going to write next. That is, I found work where I feel like, okay, my assignment is teaching these principles of prosperity, free enterprise, generosity through all of these platforms. So I've found my assignment, or my assignment found me. So I get to do meaningful work, and I've been blessed to be rewarded by that. I have had those New York Times bestsellers. I'm in the Speaker Hall of Fame. I've created a really robust business model. That's not true for everybody. So some people have work that doesn't provide that significance. So their vocation may not give them the significance, and that's okay. Everybody can't be a researcher working to discover the cure for leukemia. Right? We need somebody has to drive the buses. Somebody has to fix the street lights. Somebody has to assemble the automobiles. Somebody has to work on Taco Bell so I can go through and get my cheesy gordita crunch when I haven't a fix. Right? That's okay. We need and love and appreciate everybody. But I feel like even if you're so you may be in a work that really does allow you significance. You're contributing to the greater good. Maybe you're a school teacher, maybe you're a first responder or a nurse, or one of those professions that really is significant to the greater good. So your work has meaning. And it may not be. So your job may be you're the custodian at the elementary school, but your avocation, your hobby, your side gig, your side charitable project, that may be the thing. So maybe you're on the board of Charity Water. Maybe you're a mentor in the Big Brothers or the Big Sisters organization. Maybe you volunteer at a suicide hotline. Maybe you donate money to build drinking wells in impoverished countries, right? I think when we look at this snapshot of living a prosperous life, that's where there is some part of the equation where significance over success becomes part of the problem. So for you guys keeping score at home, just kind of a recap, the 5 areas that I think really are the snapshot of what living a prosperous life looks like. Number 1, money and material things in abundance. Number 2, health and wellness in abundance. Number 3 was spiritual harmony. Number 4 was nurturing relationships. And number 5 was significance over success. So let me give you your assignments. If you're just here for the first time or you're watching on the replay, I don't just do a lesson every week. I give you assignments, and I'll be following up. I'll be checking. I can see Tavistan Ivanov. I will be checking to see if you do your homework. Jitka Holabuva. I saw you were sharing the show beforehand. Thank you. Scott McAvoy, I'll be watching you. Stefan Joseph Hawk, I'm coming for you. All you guys, who we got? Oh, I see Jedi Bob Berg is in the house. We got Ford Sakes in the house. Rena, I'll be checking up with you. Good to see everybody in here. Lots of people. So Douglas, Alex Chi, I'll be following up with you, right? Here's your assignments, okay? Number one assignment. Somebody maybe type these in the screen on the Zoom. Somebody who's ever watching on the replay, do it on the YouTube channel. If you're watching the live stream, if it actually worked on Facebook, somebody type these in the Facebook chat, please. This week, assignment number one is take a relationship inventory. A relationship inventory. Are you holding on to onto dysfunctional ones? What we talked about, Jim Rohn famously talked about, your income will be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I've taken that a little further. I believe that all the things of prosperity, health, relationships, marriages, all of this stuff will be the median average of the 5 people or couples you hang around with the most. So look at that yourself and say, okay, what kind of relationships I have, and what do I need to do about that? Am I in nurturing, supportive relationships that pull me toward a higher possible version of myself? Or am I in relationships that pull me away from the highest possible version of myself? Número 2, do an unbiased health analysis. Do an unbiased health analysis. Mental and physical. All right, be honest with yourself. Do you have addictions? Are you powerless over an addiction? I'll be taking a plane somewhere and the flight attendant will come and they'll offer drinks before takeoff. And I'll be on I used to take there was a flight left San Diego at 7:30 a.m. coming to Miami. So I used to take that flight a lot when I was coming back here always. And I'd be sitting next to someone and they'd have 3 screwdrivers before the plane took off. Okay. If you need 3 drinks at 7:30 in the morning, are you really telling yourself you're just a social drinker? Are you kidding me? Are you, because you bought that Nike t-shirt or sweatshirt that says just do it, does that really mean you're an athlete in athletic shape? Or are you carrying around 20 pounds extra that's really making a difference to your health and holding you back? Do you have a steady diet of reality TV and Bachelor and RuPaul's Drag Race and, I don't know, whatever else is out there? I mean, is that the mental health that you have? Do a real unbiased health analysis. And the point is not to beat yourself up. The point is not to catch yourself. So, okay, if you recognize you have an addiction, if you recognize, hey, I'm carrying around 18 pounds too much and it's affecting my health. Hey, I'm in, horrific relationships. Hey, these are really insightful breakthrough awareness that you need to achieve. Number 3, prepare an accurate financial statement. And it doesn't matter if you don't have an accountant or a bookkeeper, you never took accounting class, you can get a notepad and you can say, all right, I'm going to write down all of my credit card balances on the left side. These are the debts I have. And I financed my furniture, or I bought one of those purple beds or 8 sleep beds or whatever for $1,000 or $2,000, and I'm financing that. Put all of your debts on one side. And then on the other side, put your savings, your investments, what is the negative stuff? What is the positive? And get the real world picture. Because if you're like me and you kept sliding deeper and deeper into debt, you avoided looking at that stuff. You didn't want to know those numbers because they were too depressing. But the power is in finding the truth and getting the actual condition. Number 4, assess if you found your assignment. Have you really found the thing that means significance for you? And again, it might be your job. It might just be volunteer work that you do. But just assess, have you found your assignment, or is your assignment still looking for you? Just good to know, whichever the case may be. And number 5, grade your mental harmony. Grade your mental harmony. Can you be alone with your thoughts with no devices? Can you curl up in that comfortable chair with just a journal and a pen? No breaking news alerts, no cell phone, no email, no nothing, and be alone with your thoughts for 45 minutes? Can you meditate? Do you, where are you at for mental harmony? So that's your homework. Give me a sign on the screen or give me a yo in the chat. Are you up for the homework? You really going to do this? All right. I love this crowd. All right. So once you do those 5 things, then I want you to look at what areas do you need work? And then start a plan of action. And then we're gonna move forward with that next week. Remember, this lesson today is part 1 of 2. Next week, we're gonna build on what we're doing this time around and build on that. So do the homework, get the actual reality, and then think about what a plan of action would be. All right, now I'm gonna, for you guys who are new, this is done on a love offering basis every week. Initially, I thought I should do these series of prosperity webinars and I could charge $37 a week for them. It's like a 1 hour almost training. That's kind of the going rate. I'll charge $37. But the whole reason I did this for-profit prosperity ministry was I want to also get the work to people who can't afford it. So I'm offering, it's something I'm testing out. We're going to see how it does. Paula, can you bring up the Go page where they can go to support the work, please? Not this statement, but the other one that has not this one, the one that's Go page. There we go. This is where you can support the work with Venmo or PayPal or credit card, debit card, whatever. I'm just doing it on you pay what you, in a perfect, prosperous world, I would run this like a 12-step meeting, right? I love 12-step meeting. They say, hey, this meeting has to support itself. If everybody just gives $1 or everybody, so if everybody just gave $10 or $5, it can allow this work to go on and I can spread it out everywhere in the world. For you guys who don't know, we have a Spanish version that happens 2 hours after this one. The links to that are in the chat. We have Michael and Martina in Czech Republic who translate all this into Czech. We have people in Canada who are doing this in French, I believe. and we're just spreading the work. So if you tithe or you want to donate, if you think it's worth a big amount, give it, but just support the work. And if you can't afford anything, please just share the show. Share the link, tell your friends about it. Okay, Paula, can we get the offering statement? For you guys who want to support the work, I like to bless the tithes and the offerings with energy. So Paula, can you give me the, here we go. All right, here's the offering statement. If you want to affirm it with me. Prosperity begins with me. Holding this seed offering in my hand or my heart, I send it forth as a vessel of hope, healing, and highest good, knowing it blesses myself, the recipient, and the universe around us. Okay, so, and I'm calling out some of you guys. I see people who are here every single week. You never support it. And if you can't afford it, that's okay. But you have to share. Tell people about the show. We've got to get this word out there to the world. So I'm calling you out. I'm getting in your grill. Support the work if you want to see it continue, please. All right, so next week, we're going to talk about curating a prosperous life. Meaning, okay, so you've got your inventory, you're doing your homework this week. Now we're going to look next week. Okay, how do we go the next step? How do we create more prosperity in each of those 5 areas? And then, so Paula, can we get the affirmation up? We like to close with an affirmation every week. And she'll put it up on the screen. It's also on that Go page for you guys who are there. We celebrate the following truth. We have prosperity because we choose to accept it. We circulate prosperity joyfully, lovingly, and gratefully. We become prosperity by generous daily living. Prosperity surrounds us everywhere in the universe, yet we know it begins with us. All right, thanks again for watching. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for sharing the show. Peace, love, and unicorns. See you, everybody.